Good morning again, guys. And before we dive in, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say hello to the person next to you. Just kind of reach over, say hello, shake somebody's hand, introduce yourself. If you don't know somebody in here, say hello to somebody new. This is community. Remember that. So say hello to our folks online. Welcome. Thank you. We're wishing that you were in the building with us, but not. You are still here in presence. As you can see, we're still in this series Perspective. This is the last week of this series. And, and really the best part about this, remember how I told you guys at the beginning of when we started this series, Philippians is one of my favorite books of the Bible. And the reason why is because it's 4 chapters. It's 4 chapters. So guess what we've done, guys? In the last 3 weeks, we've covered the first 3 chapters of this book. Well, guess what's going to happen today? We're going to cover the 4th one. And guess what that means? That means that you have read an entire book of the Bible. Woo! Give yourself a hand, because for some of you, it was the first time. That's okay. I'm only playing. Today, Paul is really talking about worry. A lot of us, we have worries. Anybody in here, how many of you often worry? Anybody put your hands up? You often worry? And now, for the ones of you that didn't put your hands up, you are worried right now about what people around you are going to think. Because that's what happens. We all worry. We live in this life where we just worry about things. We look at it and go, I worry about the things I can't control. I worry about the things I can control. I worry about everything. Let me tell you, what you fear most will reveal what you value most. You ever hear that? What you fear most will reveal what you value most. And I want to change that up a little bit. What you fear most reveals what you trust God with the least. Because this is a big thing. What you fear the most is what you trust God with the least. So think about this. What are you trusting God with the least? What do you fear? What are you afraid of right now? What finances? What situations going on? And see, what we have is that most of us, we have this sin of just trusting the promise and the power of God. We have this sin. It just resides with us all the time that we just don't trust the power of God. We go, God, you're not going to take care of that for me. When God has proved over and over again, he will deliver you. And you just go, no, I got to worry about it. I got to worry about this. Most of us, it's finances. We worry about falling behind. We worry about our job all the time. I know people that are always worried about, you guys, you should see some of the connection cards that I pray over every week. And I just look at them and I go, these are the things that we see all the time. Finances, job, marriages. Why would we worry about our marriages? What happens there? Why are we worried about that? Does that mean that we're giving our all, or does that mean we're giving half of it? Some of us, we worry about our kids' safety, our health. Some of us, we worry about failure. We just have this consistent fear and worry of failure. And it's a lot, because I'll be honest with you, that's one that sits with me. I have these 2 major fears all the time. I have this fear, number one, of losing my family. Just one day waking up and it's just gone. It's just not being there. And a lot of times it's things that I can control. But the other one that I have this constant fear of is that I get up here and I fail you. So that I fail of allowing God to take over and just allowing that message to come out of me instead of me coming up here and trying to do it all on my own. That's a fear that I have. And I try and be in control too often. If you guys know me, I'm a control freak. I am. If you know me, I can't ride in the passenger seat of a car, because if I sit there, I promise you I will put a hole in the floorboard of the car. I will just sit there, and even if we're going down the freeway, there's nothing in front of us, I have my foot on the brake. I know my daughter can tell you, when she was learning how to drive, she'd be like, my dad's just, I don't even want to drive with him. I know. It's me overcoming my problem of worrying. And now I'm doing it, because now I have a daughter who's driving all the time by herself. I actually really worry about you folks. I really do. It's really, because it can be kind of scary, because I've ridden with her and you haven't. So I'm telling you, worry is a matter of perspective. How you look at things is how you're really going to worry about it. How you kind of go through things and think about this. There are people who live on the other side of the country, like let's just use Oklahoma, for example. And they live in Oklahoma and they go, why wouldn't you live in California? California has earthquakes. And they ask me, why wouldn't you live in Oklahoma? And I go, because Oklahoma has tornadoes. That's just the reality. And now we live in Northern California where we have earthquakes and tornadoes. It's happening both here. So it's just a matter of perspective, right? And you look at things and go, I look at this and I see it this way, and at least it isn't as bad as that. What is your perspective? We live here in a state that we get all of that stuff now. In the Bible, and biblically, if you open it up, if anybody had a real reason to worry, it was Paul. In Philippians 4, he's got a real reason to worry. As he wrote it, he's sitting there, and he's facing possible execution. In Paul's perspective of God, he comes out and he goes, nothing can separate you from God. That's what he says, nothing. Nothing can separate you from the love of God. Think about that. He'd been in a shipwreck. He had snake bites, flogging. He almost died. He's in imprisonment, and he's facing execution. And he's going, nothing separates me from God. Nothing separates me from God's love. And in fact, it comes out, and in verses 4 and 5, he says, rejoice in the Lord always. And then he says, hold on here. I need to tell you this again. I will say it again. Rejoice. This is how much that he says that you have to rejoice in the Lord always. Where are you rejoicing at? Are you rejoicing in the promotion you got at your job? Are you rejoicing in your birthday? Are you rejoicing in your marriage celebration? Well, all of those things happened because God was there. Because God allowed it to happen. God gave you today. Are you rejoicing in today? And that's where we lose it so often. We don't even rejoice in today. God gave you today. He allowed you to put your feet on the ground. He allowed you to open your eyes and say, today is a day that the Lord has made, and I get to rejoice in it. I get to spend time in it. I get to spend time with God. No, we don't do that. Paul's perspective. I've been to a shipwreck. I've had snake bites, been flogged, I've almost died, I'm in prison, and yes, I will continue to rejoice. I say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. We don't have to worry. We have to start learning we don't have to worry about what will happen when we know who's in charge. You don't have to worry about what will happen when you know who's in charge. You know, it's also, I've got it written down here, we don't have to worry about the how when you know or when you have the who. You don't have to worry about those two things. You know, we go out and we do things. You talk to a person that has construction, that does have construction experience, because I don't have any construction experience. If you've ever seen anything that I've built that, they say a smart man makes a plan. Well, I make a plan to have other people do it because it doesn't work out well. I can say, it says, put, stud 16 on center. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. Let me get 4 or 5 guys and just stand them up 16 inches apart. But here's what happens is that you have to have a plan. When you go to somebody and we know, if I go and I say, hey, KJ, I need you to take care of this for me, I know that it will be taken care of because I know who's in charge of making it happen. That's just how we have to believe in this stuff. If I go, I want you to build something, I need it taken care of. Paul says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts, your minds in Christ Jesus. Don't worry about anything, pray about everything. Also, put the people that you know that's supposed to be in charge of that. Don't go off and do things that you know you're not supposed to be doing. What is that you've got just sitting that's in front of you that you're not supposed to be doing? It's just sitting there. That somebody else is supposed to take care of for you. That something else is supposed to be done. You've got a project. I know all of us do. Some of you guys go, I'm going to work on my own car. They're actually trying to pass a law right now that makes it illegal for you to work on your car now. The newer cars. They're trying to do that because a lot of times we break it. And we make it worse. We make things and we damage things. When was the last time you actually prayed and presented your request to God? When was the last time you just sat down and said, God, you're in control, and I want you to guide me and lead me? I just did that right back there at that wall, just like I do before every service. I get down and I pray and I present my request to God, and I go, God, you are in control. What do you want me to do? Use me as your vessel. Empower me. Let me do what you, let me. Don't just give me the strength, but let me do it. Well, when was the last time you just asked for guidance? For saying, hey, and just said, I want you just lead me. So often we don't. We give it to God. God, lead me. And they go, oh, God, you're not going to take care of that. And we take it back. We never give him the opportunity to actually lead us and give us the direction that we need. What happens is we end up going, I will trust God with what I can do. That's what happens so often. I will do what I can do, and I will trust God with what I can't do, is how it's supposed to be. I just give you a couple of questions. I have this written down. What can I not do? I want to ask you, can you heal a loved one? Is that something you can do? This is a big question. Can you heal a loved one? Now let me ask this. Can God heal a loved one? I know you think that you can do it, but can you change your spouse? Yeah. Every guy in here should be just shaking their head. No, not happening. Can God change your spouse? Yeah. Can you protect your kids all the time? The kids move out of the house. Can you protect them? Can you protect them while they're at school? Can you protect them? Can you protect your children? And you go, yeah, sometimes. But can God protect them all the time? Can you control my future? And can I control your future? Can God control your future? What can your worry change? So you just sit here. Can your worry change anything? If you just sit there and worry and worry, worry. Get some gray. You can change that. Can God change anything he wants? And so you hear this and you start going, what is there? You see this perspective, and all of us have this worry and this hurt that sits with us, and we go, why? What's happening? Why are we going to this direction? Why does it get to this point? Why do we worry so much about things we can't even control? Oh, it changed my spouse. The matter of perspective is that we need to start trusting God. Trusting God that he has a plan. And the other thing is if you're following him, then you'll start seeing that. You'll start seeing the plan come. We get to this point and we start going, the absolute worst thing that can happen, and we go to that worst case scenario every time. Anytime something comes up, it goes right to the worst case scenario. Paul says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or have received or have heard from me or have seen me put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. What have you been thinking about? Have you been thinking about the worst things, the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen? What's going on here? What's this? Or have you been thinking about what's good, what's right, what's admirable, what's happy? What is it that you've been worried about? Now change your focus and start looking at all the positives that can come out of it, all the things that are good, all that Christ has already done for you. And look and watch what happens. What have you heard from me? What have you seen me put into action? What is it? And the God of peace will be with you. When you worry about things, over things that you have no control of, that you're just worrying about, that's all you do. You give yourself gray hair, high blood pressure. Let me tell you guys, this last week, I worry. That's just what I do. I worry about you guys. I worry about my family. I took my blood pressure yesterday after even having a conversation about how well my blood pressure has been in the previous weeks. I almost had to go to the emergency room because my blood pressure was 160 over 120. It's because of bad sleep. It's because of worry. My blood vessels have been tightening up over things I can't control. This morning, I get a good night's sleep, spend time with the family, I wake up, take my blood pressure, and I go, woo! No emergency room today, baby. But that's what happens, is that we make ourselves sick over things that we can't control. I always I just go, you know what, God? I can't Because I use this line a lot, guys. I'll tell you, as I'll be talking to the staff here, and I go, we can lead them to water. We can lead them to the Word. We can lead them to God. We can't force them to drink. And a lot of times I try and force you. Come on, here's some Bible. Let me pour it down your throat. We can't do that. If you really want to see changes in your life, you have to start making the changes. You have to start spending time in the Word. You have to start spending time with God. I can't just be the one that's always spending time with God for you. You're not going to live through me. It'll be me going to heaven and all of you guys looking at me. And I'm going to go, I want you here with me. Come on, let's get here. But you're too worried about the wrong things instead of spending time with God and opening up the Word and going, let me put into practice what Paul did. Spend time with God every day. Spend time in the Word. Spend time in prayer. And the reason why I ask this is because, guys, I'm a pastor, and so a lot of times I have problems with prayer. So if I'm having problems, how many problems are you having with it? How much time are you spending in prayer? Because I know over the last 2 weeks, I haven't spent enough time in prayer. And if I'm not, then you're not. And I know that's a big generalized statement. I just encompassed everybody, because somebody in here I know spends tons and tons and tons of time in prayer. Everybody know who it was. They were like, Shelly. So many of us worry about what we have. The stuff we have, the car we have, this. We need more stuff to be happy. I won't worry if I have this or I have that. Guys, when we bought our home, we went and looked at all kinds of different houses. Some that were in good shape, some that were in bad shape. And then we really looked and said, what does God want us to have? And so we kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. And a lot of guys, that we didn't pay a lot for our house. But we walked in and we knew it was the right house. We knew. We walked in and we knew it was something we could afford. We knew it was someplace that we could love and turn into our own. We knew that it was someplace that God ordained us to have, because every other place that we looked at, he shut the door on it. It wasn't about what stuff. And God has done some amazing things with our neighborhood. We have, even though a block away it's bad and a block the other way it's bad, but where we live at, it's quite nice. And the reason why I bring this up is because so often we look at this and we set this whole idea of we have to have the mansion. We have to have this beautiful house. I know where my mansion is. What I need is a place that I can provide for my family in. And I don't have to worry about, when I'm going to get to this place. I don't have to worry about the house payment. It's that easy to make. Because I tell you is that we worry about the wrong things and we pursue the wrong things. Is it true? Is it noble? Is it right? Is it pure? Is it lovely? Is it admirable? What is it that you've been pursuing? What is it that you've been after? Just think about it. And I always tell you, don't go back more than a week, because a week you're really going to feel bad about yourself. Just go back to last week. What have you been pursuing the last week? Has it been true? Has it been noble? Has it been right? Has it been pure? Has it been lovely? Has it been those things? Are those the things that you've been pursuing? And then start going, do I have worry? Am I anxious? Do I have these things going on? Because I can tell you, if you look at that and compare it, we live in a life that's so discontented. We're discontented with the way I look, what I feel, what I have, where I'm at in life. This is where our whole lives are. We want a different house, a better job, more money. Wish I wasn't so busy. Don't like what I have. That's where our lives are. If we were to just make this small change and start looking at it and go, what is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable? Imagine how things would change. Imagine how your children would look at things differently. Imagine how your spouse would look at things differently. I don't like what I have because I know that the better stuff is actually in heaven. So all of this is actually worthless to me. Paul actually told us last week, he says when we were looking at Ephesians 3, he says, it is all rubbish. And if you go back and you start taking that Greek, and you go back and it really translates to dung. It's crap. It's worthless. All of those things are worthless. I count them all as garbage. It tells us this. But yet we spend so much time worrying and pursuing those things that it makes us sick. It gets us to the point where we have high blood pressure. It gets us to the point where we're going to, We don't have to worry about what we have when we know who truly satisfies. Maybe that makes a little difference. We don't have to worry about what we have when we know who truly satisfies. Paul comes out, verses 10 through 13. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you have been concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. And I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. Are you content with whatever the circumstances are? Are you content with whatever you have? But whatever the circumstances are. Look at what you have at home. Are you content with whatever's there? Or are you always looking, I can get better. I can do this better. I can do that better. And I'm not saying to live like a slob and just leave your laundry everywhere. I'm content with that. That's good. That's not what that means. It does mean to clean up after yourself. It does mean to take care of the stuff that you have. But are you content with what you have? Are you content with what God has given you? Are you content with what God has done in your life? Because Paul comes out and he goes, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. Anybody in here ever had that? You know what it is to be in need, and now you know what it is to have plenty? Maybe the other way. I know what it is to have plenty. I also know what it is to be in need. Let's talk to some of you guys, because if you know my background, we wanted for nothing for a while when we lived down in Arizona. Everything was just taken care of. If you wanted it, we went and bought it. Drove outrageous price vehicles, lived in an outrageous price house, had outrageous price bills, but still weren't content and still weren't happy. We always wanted more. Well, let's get this, and let's get that, and let's get this. We knew what it was like to have plenty, but it was still emptiness. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. And I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. That's the one we end up with all the time. People always, they get to that 4:13. You see that one posted all the time. I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. But it all starts when you go backwards. When you go to the verse before, when you've had nothing. Even though you've had plenty in the beginning. It's all about being content. I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. Do it all. I know what it is to have all my needs met. I know what it is. Because that's exactly what happens right now. Every one of our needs is met. Now, Melissa and I will say we always want more. But that's the thing, is we always want more. But we know what it's like to have all of our needs met. And I will tell you, He is all we need. That's it. He is all we need. What have you been pursuing? Why do you feel empty? What have you been chasing after? In your life, just start looking at it and go, what is it that you've been pursuing after? And you go, why is it that I don't ever feel content? And then start going, have I really been pursuing God that way? Have I ever been pursuing a relationship with Christ that way? You don't have to worry about your life. You hide your life in Him. You don't have to worry about it. Rejoice in the Lord. I wrote some verses down and I put them in your notes just because I thought they were important for you to have. And it's just over and over again. It says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Hide yourself in Him. In the Lord I take refuge. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in a man. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Believe in the Lord Jesus and you will be saved. Over and over again, in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. A relationship in God. Not just with God, but in God. Have you actually put yourself, and you just said, I'm going to cast all these worries away, and I'm going to have a relationship with God in God. I'm going to immerse myself in the Word. I'm telling you. You've been looking for change. You've You've been looking for your life to start all of a sudden make this miraculous. You're like, I need a U-turn. I need to get on this direction. I need to start having success in my life. And stop pursuing these earthly desires. Start pursuing Him. Because I'm telling you, we're talking within hours that we made this decision. And Melissa and I have this conversation. I said, we need to get back into this. We need a relationship with God. We need to spend time with God. We need to be following God's plan for our life. All of a sudden, things just start lining up. What plan are you following? So Yogi Berra had a line, and so, Yogi Berra died this week, and he had this line. He said, when you come to the fork in the road, you just take the fork. That's what he said. And I'm going to tell you is that it's a great euphemism, but you really need to start getting to this point. You're at a fork in the road right now. You're at this juncture. And you're not going to take a fork. You're going to make a decision on which direction you're going to go. Because you can go to the right or the left. Might be your left, could be my right, I don't know. But you're going to make this decision, and you're going to go, and you're going to follow God's plan for your life. And you're going to start seeing change. Or you can go the other direction, and you can continue following the plan that you've already laid out and what you've been doing. And you're going to know there's not going to be any change because you've been doing that same thing, which led you to here where you asked, I want to make a change. God, I'm walking in the door, and I want something different. I'm ready for something different. And I'm walking into the church because why? I need something different. Your way has to be better than my way. Your direction, the direction that you want me to go, has to be better than the way that I've been going. Well, then why did you walk in the door if you weren't willing to make the change and go, I'm going to try God's way and actually follow His direction and go the way? No, I love worrying. I love having gray hair. I love having high blood pressure. I love being sick. Or do you want to go the other direction and start trusting in God and start knowing that His plan is developing and that you hear from Him? That you start spending time in the Word, that you start spending time with God. And it had to be, I told you about legalism the last couple of weeks, and it said, you don't have to be, I got to get up first thing in the morning and spend time with God. But you should. You need to spend time with Him daily. Don't give Him the leftovers. And by the leftovers, I mean, well, you guys know what the leftovers means. I went to work, I played on the Xbox, I spent time text messaging, I was on Facebook for hours, I did this. Well, maybe I got some time for God now. Oh, those are leftovers. You give the leftovers to the dog. Is that how your relationship is with God? The leftovers? I'm going to give God my leftovers, the same thing that I would treat my dog with. But I'm not here to guilt you. But maybe some of us need to make this decision. God's telling me right now is that somebody needs to make this decision, that they're tired of going the direction they've been going because the direction they've been going isn't working. This direction of continuing to pursue your things isn't working. And then maybe you should start pursuing what He wants for you. A life with you. A relationship with you. I'm telling you is that it's never going to change until you make that actual commitment. It will never change. Your life will continue going in a hellish direction. And I mean hellish because that's where we're going. When we're not living with Him and in Him, we're going in this direction that He's truly saying, stop. Stop. Come here. I'm telling you, you get sick when you go that direction. Come back. And what do? Continue to run. We're afraid. We're afraid of what success looks like. We're afraid of happiness. Because we're so accustomed to what this world says that what it is. This world says that happiness is money. This world says that happiness is things. This world says that you have to have these possessions and you have to have 2.5 children and you have to have this and that. That's not happiness. That's keeping up with the Joneses. That's trying to live in this world. It's not giving up these earthly desires to pursue Christ. To have a relationship, to have true life. To have happiness. You can change. You can give up this worry. You can give up this anger. You can start to follow. Has anybody in here been watching the Bible series? Anybody? Anybody see how Paul was this last week? What happened with Paul? Paul's going out, and his whole mission is to pursue and kill Christians. That's what he's after. Watch the change that happens tonight. Watch what happens within him. Watch what happens when he actually says, I will follow God. I'll have this relationship, and I will do what you've asked me to do, God. You know, I don't do this, ever. Ever. But there's something here that says that it needs to be done today. And what I want you to do is I want you to put your heads down. And I just want you to start asking God for forgiveness. And I want you to start looking for this direction that He's asked you to go. And I want you to start spending some time in prayer just here by yourself. I'm not going to lead you. I'm not going to guide you. I just want you to spend some time. I want you to start looking and go, God, what direction do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? What direction do you want me to go? Is it that you're asking me to be saved? That I need to start a new relationship with you? That I need to start something different? That my way hasn't been going the way that I've thought it's supposed to be going? That my way doesn't work? I want you to start looking and going, God, what direction do you want me to go? Slow me down a little bit and lead me. Where do you want me to go? And I'm going to ask is that you keep your heads down. Because I know that there's somebody in here right now who needs it. They need this prayer. They need forgiveness. They just need salvation. They're looking at it and they're going, God, I need to do something over. I need to try again with you. I need something new. And if you are that person, I just want you to put a hand up. I just want you to take this step. Nobody's looking at it, just going, I'm ready to do something different, God. I'm ready to walk out and I'm ready to do something new. I'm ready to do something. Just keep your hand up for me. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's looking at what's going on. Nobody's looking at what's happening. It's just us. It's just us looking around. There's something so much different when you put your hand up and you said, I want to acknowledge that, God, you're doing something in my life. That I'm making this change, that I want to go out and I want to do something different, that I'm ready for you to be part of my life, that I'm ready to give up this anger and this hate, and I'm tired of doing it my way. That I'm ready to do it your way, and I'm ready to go your direction. God, thank you. Keeping your heads down, let's pray together now. Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to just give up this worry, to give up this anger, to give up this obstacle that's blocking this relationship with you. We need you in our lives. We find joy in you. We need to be in a relationship with you. We find happiness there. And we continue to run because we're pursuing things. We want this or that. God, we really just want a relationship with you. That we find that fulfillment, we find that joy, that when we're actually pursuing you, instead of things or relationships with other sexes or whatever, we just end up continuing to fall back to you. And we go, my way isn't working, and so God, please take the reins and you lead. So we ask that, God, you take over and you take the reins from each one of us. And you lead us and you guide us. You give us the strength to continue to follow with you. To continue to live the direction you've asked us to. We know that the road will be hard because some of us are going to have to give up lots of things. Father, we ask that you continue to pour in that wisdom and strength to us so that we know what direction to go and so we know that we're following the path that you've laid out for us. Take away this worry. Take away this anxiousness, this animosity. Give us strength. It's in your Son's holy name we pray. Amen.